stage. This will be the last part of this little mini-series, so I'm just setting up a bit of a painting area in here, because I'm going to try and paint all of these 8 fronts at once. So I'll paint here and then just lay them across these 2 boards. So painting first step, got a good few coats of that to do, and then we'll get them fitted and put the handles on. So I'm going to be painting and gluing in a finished room now, so hopefully nothing goes wrong, but we'll find out. It saved you the expense of lots of filming with me painting, but this has had many coats of paint. Before I actually fit these drawer fronts on, I'm going to mark out where the handles go, because it's just a bit easier while it's on the surface. Now, if you remember from my kitchen video, I've got a jig to do this, but the jigs don't actually work very well on the inside panel. It'd be fine if we were doing something around the side. I would have made my own jig, but there's 4 in each size, so it's probably not worth making it. So all I'm going to do is quickly put some tape on, roughly where it needs to be. Just check that. So I know the inset of this panel is 720 millimeters. So all I'm going to do is mark a midpoint on here, 360. Just double check that is the case. Correct? Yeah. So next step, mark the midpoint. I'm going to use a smaller ruler. I could use that same one. I'm going to use a smaller one. So the handle that we've got is 70, at least according to the website, 76 millimeters centers. So that is true. So 76 divided by 2, camera operator, is correct 38. Well done. Well done for mouthing that to me. So I'm then going to position my ruler on 38 on that centre spot, and then I'm going to mark 0 for the left hole, and then that's right, 76 for the right hole. So that's that square. And then the final one, which wasn't actually any particular math other than me holding it up and the camera operating agreeing, is this way, is 58 millimeters. So I'll now do that. Cross. Now I've got a crosshead. Now I'm actually going to drill it out of here. All I'm going to do now, get my bradawl on the pin, and then tape off, and that's marked out. So now once I've actually installed this, I can then drill through there and drill through the drawer itself all at once. But that's, if you can imagine doing that low down like that, it's quite a faff. A lot easier to do on the bench. So that's now prepped to go on. We're on the final stage, fitting the drawer fronts. So the drawers I've already made a while back. So the first thing I do when I fit these drawers, I'll show you the drawers themselves, and I'll explain why I've done that. So these are the Blum Movento Runners. I've got a lot of adjustment in them, which is helpful, but one top tip I always make sure I do is before you glue or fix in your drawer front, you need to make sure that some of the critical adjustments are in their midpoint, not in their upper or lower limit. So for example, you can change the runner so it goes up and down. Often when you get the up and down on this one is a adjustment here. So if you look at this, it goes up and down. And I think when it comes from the factory, I think it is in its lowest setting. So if you'd fixed or glued the drawer front in and you actually want to move it any more up, you'd be stuck because it's already in the up position. So very simple thing to do, but very helpful, is just to roughly set that in the midpoint before you fix it, and then you know you can go up or down from there. So this front one lifts up and down. Then there's also adjustments on the back which does the tilting, so whether it's like that. So once you've got the drawer in, you can tweak that so it sits nice and vertical to the cabinet. And then there's also a couple more adjustments at the back to shift it that way in case it's sticking. But those ones you don't need to worry about till they're actually in. So set those to the mid position. I'm going to put the runner back in. And what I also do, you can see here, I've just taped on some packers. And the reason I'll do that, I'll show you. Okay, so that's in. So these drawers are typically set flush to the face. And they've got a bit of play. If you push it in, it can go back a mil or two. So because I'm gluing this drawer front on, I want it just to stick out proud a couple of mils so that I make sure I'm getting good contact, which is why I do that. So next step is, if you remember from the first video, I said I'd measured everything so I had a 2 mil tolerance all the way around. So what I'm actually going to do first of all, basically you've got a couple of 2 1 mil wedges taped together. So to help make sure I guide this into place, because I'm using a quick glue, I'm just going to take these on quickly. Just to make sure that if you're doing it alone, you can do this. I will hold this up before I glue it. And then just one on the side. So that means when I come to glue it, it's going to glue and I can hold it with that 2 mil reveal. And obviously I've still got adjustments in the fronts, so I can still adjust from here, but it gets me pretty much 99 if not 100% of the way there. I'm using a what's probably often referred to as like a mitre adhesive glue if you to buy it from Screwfix or somewhere. This one is a brand called O3, so you can't get this in the typical big box stores, but O3 do different types of glue. So this is a thicker glue, and the reason I prefer a thicker one in this scenario is I'm going to put some dots on. I'm then going to rotate it like this, and if you had one of the thin glues, it would start running down. And also the thicker glue allows for any variance, so I prefer to use the thicker glue for this. Once this is set, I then screw it from behind, but this is I found is the quickest way to initially get it on without too much work. So I'm going to put on 4 decent sized dots. And yes, I probably should have covered up the carpet, but we'll start it now. This is the activator. So from here, I've only got about 10 seconds once it contacts, which is why it's crucial that I've got everything as ready as possible. And that now is starting to glue. So, and I'm putting a lot of pressure on this, so this is why I put those packers on the back to make sure it didn't push the drawer in, because then I wouldn't get much contact.
How many seconds are you holding it for?
10. Let's just double checking this was 10. I'll actually go a little bit more, just in case. That should be good now. That's tight because of the packers. Okay, so that's now nicely set. Take these off because we'll reuse these for the next drawer. So next step, before we go too much further, because this is still only tacked on really, so I'm going to put a couple of screws in from the back, probably about here. I've already done a test to make sure I've got the right length of screws. Now if you remember from the previous video, this is the reason why we wanted that back panel solid, so we can get a good fixing in from the back. If it was just a thin 9mm and you had that void, this wouldn't work very well. So we've got two nice fixings on there, and then next step, the handle screws also go all the way through the back, so that's why I didn't bother screwing the middle, because the handles will do that for us. Next step, I'm just going to, let's do is quickly take this out. Just get my wedges. And then we'll see actually how we need to make any adjustments for this. I won't do that now, but let's have a quick look. It's not too bad if you look to the side here. That's actually, so if this was tilted, for example, if you can just see here I've just tilted it, you might get a bigger gap at the bottom compared to the top, but that's already sitting quite nice. So, but typically, once all four are in, we'll do the adjustments. Often once you get a bit of weight in here, this 2mm gap might slightly sag, and then obviously from here we can lift it up. So next one I'll do is that one over there. Top tip, by the way, if you do what I did, which is pre-mark the handles, well, this drawer front can obviously get any way around, so make sure you check you haven't put it upside down. Wouldn't want your handle positioned here, would you? So the bottom row, I'm going to do the same process again, and I've just stuck a wedge here just to stop, because if I do the same method, and obviously this is a fixed top, if I then push this drawer front up, this can lift up a slight bit, so we're just putting this in just to stop any movement there.
What would you call the position?
What do I call the position? I don't do yoga, but I imagine it's probably some sort of, is this a yoga position? Downward drawer front.
Crouching frog.
So the drawer fronts are now fitted. First stage done. She's all nice and solid on. So I did, if you remember, I did a 2mm reveal. The middle's actually probably coming out a bit bigger, so I'll probably just bring these in a little bit, which will probably mean it'll be about 2.5mm all the way around. And that's an adjustment under each side, under here. I'll show you this. So in a undermount drawer, you've got these locking clips. You can see that the Movento ones, these are the slightly upgraded Blum ones, have a wheel on both sides. That means you can move the whole thing from left to right. I would have liked to do these out of birch ply, but I did these last year when the price of birch ply was crazy. So this is actually just done from hardwood ply, which is stained. It doesn't come up too bad. So next step now is, now I've already marked out for the handles, is just to drill through all of those holes in preparation for the handles. So we'll do that now.
Could have done with that carpet protector now.
We could have, but luckily we've got a vacuum cleaner right here. Next step is the handles, and helpfully the screws, the machine screws that came with us were too short, needed slightly longer. And they had slightly longer ones fully threaded, but they were silver, and actually I thought these gold ones would slightly match the ply better. If you haven't used these before, basically need two sets of pliers, hold it where you want. So I'm taking out about there, so keep that tight. Okay, another set of pliers and just lever it like that, and then we've got two pieces. These are so short, I should probably just use an actual screwdriver, you know, one that uses your hand. So the thing to watch out for I'll finish this off by hand, is notice that the hole centres aren't perfect. These centres do slightly vary from one to the other, so I have slightly, ever so slightly over-drilled the hole, but that means it does have a little bit of motion in it, so just before you finally tighten it, just make sure you stick a level on it. Make sure it is pretty much level, and then do the final tighten by hand. Now, before you go crazy and super tighten it, do check it again, because especially with fresh paint, is that's going to start basically digging in and make a mark of the paint. So you don't really want to super tighten it, make an indent in the paint, and then have to move it, and you see that mark. Good thing about the upgraded, not the standard, I think the standard ones like the Blum Tandem, these are the Blum Movento. A, they can take a lot more weight. B, they're what's called full extension. A lot of the cheaper drawers, or even the Blum standard ones, they probably only open to about here normally, whereas these are full extension ones. And then you also get a lot more adjustments on these compared to the ones. And obviously they are soft close. As you can see, all of this shaker detail, this groove here, it's all replicated up here, so we try to make everything match as seamless as possible, and to the fire surround that I also made. I think we're done now. Everything's fitted in, the handles are fitted, so pretty happy with how this built-in turned out. If you've got any questions about how I've done this or tools used, please comment below. If you liked what you saw, please like and subscribe.